is going on, everybody? So, last video I said I was going to do a Bible study over the book of Daniel. Now that being said, Daniel is, one moment, it's only 12 chapters long, so that's not that bad, right? So, kind of a little, a few details before we get started. Israel was split up into two separate nations. You have Judah, which had 2 of the 12 tribes of Israel, and then you have Israel, which had 10 of the 12 tribes, okay? So Judah, that being said, Judah in this time was a little bit closer to God. Obviously they still screwed up, but they had historically more moments where they were closer to God than Israel did. So, starting off Daniel, and there's going to be some names in here that I cannot pronounce. So, by the way, I have the NIV student study Bible, so if y'all want to follow along, it's NIV version. So it says, Daniel 1, Daniel's training in Babylon. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it, and the Lord delivered Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, along with some of the articles from the temple of God. So obviously, if the king of Judah got delivered over to Nebuchadnezzar, the enemy, Judah was not very close with God, because if they're close to God, that would have never happened, right? So this was obviously one of the times where they were not doing so good. Also, it mentions that some of the articles were taken from the temple of God. So Nebuchadnezzar just threw them in with another temple of his with these other gods that they worship. So God was teaching Judah a lesson by saying, if you really want to follow me, you need to do it, or else I'm going to have these people come in and take your land and take your precious articles that you worship me with. And then it says, sorry, I went a little bit too far. It says, these he carried off to the temple of his god in Babylonia and put in the treasure house of his god. So he just took the articles of God and put them in another house. The king ordered Ashpenaz, chief of his court officials, to bring in some of the Israelites from the royal family and the nobility, young men without any physical defect, handsome, showing aptitude for every kind of learning, well-informed, quick to understand, and qualified to serve in the king's palace. So what this verse is saying is that basically all the best of the best people in Judah, it says no physical defect, they were handsome, they showed aptitude for every kind of learning, well-informed, and quick to understand. So they're smart, they're good-looking, and quick to learn. So it's the best of the best. So what that means is if you take the best out of a population, there's going to be nobody else to rebel, There's going to be no issues coming from Judah anymore. So Nebuchadnezzar just took the threat out of the entire population, if that makes sense. He was to teach them the language and literature of the Babylonians. So now he's stripping them of their culture. Now they have to learn the language of the Babylonians. Babylon. I don't even know what their language is called. The king assigned them to a daily amount of food and wine from the king's table. They were to be trained for 3 years, and after that, they were to enter the king's service. Among these were some of Judah: Daniel, who's the main character in this book, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, also known as Meshach, Abednego, and Shadrach. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. There you go. Sorry. Y'all might know them more by that name. The chief official gave these names to Daniel, the name Belshazzar, to Hananiah, Shadrach, to Mishael, Meshach, and to Azariah, Abednego. But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine, and he asked the chief official for permission not to defile himself this way. Now God had caused the official to show favor and sympathy to Daniel, but the official told Daniel, I'm afraid of my lord the king, who has assigned your food and drink. Why should he see you looking worse than the other men of your age? The king would then have my head because of you. So the court official over these men, he was obviously responsible for how they looked. They were supposed to be the best of the best, and they're trained to be brought up into Babylonia and work for the king. So they were to look healthy and get complete nourishment. So Daniel, I don't know exactly why he didn't want to eat the food. Maybe it's for religious reasons, or he was rebelling and wanted to be separate from Babylonia and just serve his God only. I don't know, different speculation on that. But he said, Daniel then said to the guard whom the chief official had appointed over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test your servants for 10 days, give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare our appearance with that of the young men who eat the royal food, and treat your servants in accordance with what you see. So he agreed to the test, because it's just 10 days. Nothing is really going to happen to him in 10 days. He tested them for 10 days. At the end of the 10 days, they looked healthier and better nourished than any of the young men who ate the royal food. So the guard took away their choice food and the wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables instead. So I imagine after Daniel and his buddies did this, I imagine the rest of the people that were with them were not happy, because now their choice foods straight from the king's table and their wine were taken away. So now they just have veggies and water. I mean, I'd be mad. So it says, to these 4 young men, God gave knowledge and understanding of all kinds of literature and learning, and Daniel could understand visions and dreams of all kind. So I know that's just kind of random and like thrown in there, but let's just do a little recap. These 4 men, God gave them complete nourishment through vegetables and water. They're exceeding. And now God gave them knowledge and understandings of all kinds of literature. The king of Babylonia, Nebuchadnezzar, already had them reading Babylonian literature and knowledge to try and integrate them into the culture. And now they're succeeding, and they're learning all kinds of literature. And now Daniel can even understand visions and dreams of all kinds, which is going to be a key role later on in this chapter. The next chapter, chapter 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish chapter 1 up here, and we'll do chapter 2 the next time. So, at the end of the time set by the king to bring them in, which was 3 years, remember, and the chief official presented them to Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them, and he found none equal to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, which, is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But it keeps going back to their original names. The king talked to them and found none equal. Okay, so they entered the king's service. So after the 3 years, they joined the service. In every matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king questioned them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and enchanters already in his kingdom. And Daniel remained there until the first king Cyrus. Now, verse 21, it's a really odd place to put that, because chapter 2 continues right where it left off. So verse 21, when it says Daniel remained there until the first king Cyrus, that's 75 years later. But chapter 2 is continuing. Yeah, see, it says, the first verse of chapter 2 says, in the 2nd year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar. So it's just like 1 year later, right? So I guess they just threw that in just to tell you how long Daniel was in Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, or the Babylonian kingdom, so to speak. So anyway, guys, chapter 2 has something really big coming up. It's talking about a vision that Nebuchadnezzar had of Jesus, and how when Jesus comes, it's just going to crumble all of the empires that were ever on earth. I guess I'll explain it when we get there, because it's kind of hard. But I'll leave you all with chapter 1, and catch y'all next time. Bye.